Hello everybody, and welcome to tonight's stream as we continue our journey of Fire on the Water. Our epic quest to get Lone Wolf, that's us, all the way from Holmgard to the capital of Hammerdal. And here is the map for you to refresh your memories. We are trying to get from Holmgard in the far west all the way over to Hammerdal in the far east so that we can pick up the Sword, which is a sword of ultimate power to help us defeat the Dark Lords which are currently invading our home province. Last week, we had some problems, like death, multiple times of death. So we decided that instead of starting all over again, we would pick it up from a point where we did not have death, and then to try and avoid the death, and so on. That's what we will be doing again this week. Now, if you are new to the stream, welcome. The way that it works is this book is full of choices at every turn. There is a choice for you to make. It's a number that you have to turn to. I will put up a poll in the chat, and you get to vote on that poll. Now, generally speaking, we wait until we have at least a consensus of 50% of those watching. So currently, the 28 people watching, and we would need 14 votes before we close the votes, and that is then the decision that we take. So you are shaping this journey. Absolutely, you are. So, yes, this book is part of the Lone Wolf series written by Joe Dever. And this is book number 2, Fire on the Water. You can pick up these books. They don't look like this anymore. This was a copy that I got a very long time ago. Part of me says it came from, this was a second-hand purchase that I got for 10 Rand, 10 South African Rand, which is like 50 US cents, 25 British pence. So, yeah, there we go. And, we haven't changed the screen yet. Ha. I haven't changed the screen yet. So yes, this is the book, Fire on the Water. And the new versions have beautiful covers. They're all hard copy as well. So really worth looking for those. Okay, so there we go. Now, what happened last time? We had taken a carriage, and I'm going to go back to the map, because we had been shipwrecked at Ragadorn, the city right in the center of the map. We had been shipwrecked there. Horrid place. Wouldn't recommend it for any reason whatsoever. Don't go there. Bad place, full of bad people. Anyway, we'd taken a carriage from Ragadorn, and on this carriage ride, we had got to Gorn Cove. At least I think it's Gorn Cove. The map is very small for me, and the book map is even smaller. We're at Gorn Cove on our way to Port Bax, where hopefully we will pick up an escort who will then take us into Hammerdal itself. And now, as we arrived, we realized that one of the people traveling with us was, in actual fact, working for the Dark Lords, an agent of the Dark Lords, and was evil. And so we cut his head off with our dagger that we have. Not much going on in terms of our inventory, but that's what we did. That is what we did. So that is where our story picks up. And without any further ramblings from me, let's carry on entry 33. Here we go. The other travelers stare with horror and disbelief at what you have done. Before you can explain yourself, there is a loud crash as the front door is thrown open. In rush 6 armored soldiers led by the innkeeper. They are the town guard, and the one-eyed innkeeper is screaming at them to arrest you. Look, let's just talk about this, shall we? I've got evidence, kind of. So, either we turn to fight them, 296, or we escape out the back door, 88. So, you tell me, do we stand and fight, 296, or do we run away? This also gets us an extra endurance point, because we have the healing Kai mastery. All right, so... Oh, well, we could fight them, but they're just the town guard. They're just doing their job, and they did technically see me cut this person's head off, and I don't really have any evidence other than the snake tattoo because he's dead. So maybe we should just try and leave again. And so looking at the votes, 28 people watching, 14 votes are in, and it's almost unanimous. So I'm going to end the poll now. 93% of you say it's time for us to leave. 88. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. We are just running from one disaster to another. Although night has fallen, a full moon casts a bright light upon the village. Behind the tavern, you see a small wheelwright's shop with 2 horses hitched to a hay cart. Aha! 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 I see an opportunity for thievery. Maybe we can leave some gold coins behind. Do we have... Well, we automatically will use our Kai discipline if it asks us. And it says, do you have the Kai discipline of camouflage? And as a matter of fact, we do. So 179. 179. Here we go. Using your Kai discipline of camouflage, you can hide undetected in the hay cart until it is safe to come out. If you wish to hide in the hay wain, turn to 82. All right, so 82 would be hiding. If you would rather take a horse and leave the village, turn to 150. Or, and there's a third option, if you wish to enter the wheelwright's shop, turn to 71. Oh, that's a bit of a tough question. Do I hide in the hay wain? They probably won't see me unless one of them is going to offload the hay once they finish with their shift. Maybe I should just take a horse and leave. I think that makes the most sense. Just get out of Dodge, ride the horse all the way to Port Bax. It can't be more than 2 days' ride, and just be done with it. Or perhaps the wheelwright's shop, although they might be checking the shops. We're going to have to see what you say. We now need 17 votes. 16 votes before we'll close the poll. We're only at 11. If you haven't voted, now's the time. 16 votes it is. And pretty split to a large degree. As a matter of fact, I have to wait for another vote because we are 35% say we hide in the hay, 35% say we take a horse. There we go. The vote has been broken. I'm going to give it one more round. There we go. Definitely. Oh, well, and I'm deciding. All right, we're ending the poll. 24 votes. That was a good vote number. Thank you, folks, if you participated there. We are turning to 150. We're going to take a horse and just get out of here. And I hope to goodness that they don't have bows. You spur the horse along the twisting village street, across a wooden bridge and up a steep path towards the crest of the cove. In the light of the moon, you catch a glimpse of a signpost pointing eastwards. Ta-da! Port Bax, 50 miles. You ride all night without sleep. As the dawn breaks, you are greeted by a startling change of landscape. The barren wildlands have given way to moors and waterlogged fens, and a dark shadow runs the length of the eastern horizon as far as the eye can see. This is the Duranor Forest, the natural frontier of the mountain kingdom where it borders the untamed wildlands. It is indeed a welcome sight. We do gain 1 endurance because we did not have any combat. You are no more than a day's ride from Port Bax, but you are tired after your night's ride, and you must eat a meal or lose 3 endurance points. If you have the Kai discipline of hunting, you may use this skill to trap a wild moor rat or marsh bird for your breakfast. Well, easy come, easy go. Down to 15. We are hungry. After an hour's ride, you come to a fork in the road, and unfortunately, there is no signpost. Well, folks, this one is literally 50-50, so I'm going to let you guys decide. 261, we go left. 334, we go right. Left, 261, right, 334. Well, I feel like I'm just going to write down this entry number because no reason. Let's just do it that way or that way. And I'm going to keep that handy. So the map, I mean, I'll bring the map up for you, but it hasn't said that we've crossed a river yet. It does say that we've entered into the forest, or we're getting near the forest, which, while I suppose the map does show us there is a fork there. So left seems to be the one that would go across the bridge into Port Bax. Right seems to just lead to a dead end. But let's see what everyone votes for. And at the moment, we've got enough votes. Everyone seems to be voting for left. So there we go. Not everyone, 52%. So not a huge number of people over and above. Oh, and of course it did 50-50 the moment that I ended the vote. Right, so then it falls to me. I saw 261 being the most common and popular one. So let's take 261. 261. There's a reason why I wrote down those numbers, by the way. And it's not because I read the book beforehand. I've never survived this book. It's just because it's a logical idea. Right. And I'll remember to bring up the map more often before I put the vote up when we're deciding on directions moving forward. What was the number? 261. I was reading the entry. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. The road follows a course along a high grassy ridge for many miles before turning northwards to the coast. You pass a village where the houses curve in a round circle. They don't do that. You pass a village where the houses curve in a circle around a large pond of stagnant water. As you ride through, a gaggle of Zal children come running towards you, shouting and throwing stones. You descend into the deep valley beyond, and gradually the moor gives way to richer land that has been cleared and ploughed. The hillside opposite is heavily wooded. You are not far from the coast, and you can see the tall cliffs with their multicolored bands of rock jutting out into the ocean. Then, just as you are passing through a small copse, you hear desperate cries for help off to your right. So I believe this puts us on 17. And, right, so cries for help. Oh, help! Help, I say! Oh, help, please! Please help! I am in desperate need of help. Oh, help, I say. If we wish to aid the person in trouble, turn to 95. If we wish to ignore the desperate pleas and continue riding, go to 198. So that's it. Do we help or do we ride? I mean, this territory is so full of brigands and thieves. And we have been the victim of it multiple times. We have lost so much money. Perhaps we should help. But at the same time, what if it's just a trap? I don't know. But, well, it would be nice if someone came to help us from time to time, rather than us helping everyone else. I don't know. We're on 42 viewers. I've got 23 votes, which puts us in the right majority. I'm going to end the poll. Here we go. And that puts us 56%, not by a huge margin, 95. That conscience versus a sense of trap. Let's see what happens. You spur your horse through the tangle of trees until you enter a small clearing. 6 Zals are jumping excitedly around the writhing body of a man on the ground. A strangely carved spear is stuck in his chest, and lying dead beside him is the body of a knight of the White Mountain. The creatures are shrieking at each other and appear to be unconcerned with the man's obvious agony. If you wish to attack the Zals, turn to 28, but if you have the high discipline of healing, a healing potion or some lamspur, and you want to try and save the man's life, turn to 239. So technically, this is asking us to use our healing ability, but it does say it's suggested. So let's see what we do. So 28, we attack the Zals, or 239, we try and heal the man with the strange spear in his body. We've got a pretty graphic image here of the man with the spear in his body. He doesn't look very comfortable. I did add an endurance, I think, putting us on 18. If I didn't, just let me know in the chat. I mean, I hate the Thals. The little kids threw stones at us when we rode through their village. They're nasty little things. But the man is bleeding to death, and clearly a spear in the chest is probably going to kill him. Probably don't want to do that. It's just horrid that they are it's just nasty. Absolutely nasty. So I don't know what's going on. We don't know where the spear is from. It just says a strangely carved spear is stuck in his chest. And lying beside him is the body of a knight of the White Mountain. Wait, lying beside him is a knight of the White Mountain? The White Mountain is Duranor. It's Duranor. It's Hammerdal. So I guess... Well, Watson, I don't know what to guess, actually. It's a little bit suspect, yes. 239. Voting is now going to end. It is unanimous in its decision here. Almost unanimous, 83%. We are going to try and help the man. Although now I'm beginning to wonder if that's the right course of action. But we'll find out. 238, 239. You try to apply your hands to the injured man's chest, but the Thals are pulling at your cloak and trying to drag you away. If you have the Kai discipline of camouflage, which we do, we turn to 77. Stop trying to pull me away. I'm trying to save this man's life, damn you. During the period of your Kai training, your masters taught you many of the languages and dialects of northern Magnamund, one of which was Thal. The creatures in this clearing are Thals, and they are screaming at you that the wounded man is not a man at all. They say he is a Helghast, a powerful shape-changing servant of the Dark Lords. Well, now that's interesting. I mean, that adds up with the White Knight dead next to him. What else does it mean? Well, let's have a look here and see. If you believe that they are telling the truth, check what the man has in his pack by turning to 320. Or, if you suspect that Thals are lying to stop you interfering with their spiteful game of watch the stranger bleed to death and die, you can fend them off with your weapon by turning to 28. Well, we chose not to attack them before, and I suppose... I mean, he's had a spear in his chest for a while, so checking his satchel wouldn't necessarily hurt, I don't think. Let's look at what the votes are saying. Well, so far it is absolutely unanimous. Oh, there we go. Someone thinks that we should attack the Thals. Pretty much unanimous, though. 95% so far of the votes. Almost there. Where we go. We are over the mark. We've got our number. We are going to 320. I would rather fight a wounded Helghast than a living Helghast. And that does give us another endurance point, doesn't it? Because there was no combat there. Clawing them back. Clawing them back. That is the name of the game. Name of the game. You search in his pack and are horrified to find that it contains a scroll of human skin, upon which a message has been written in a strange runic script. The only word that you can make out is Kai. You also find an evil-looking dagger with a black blade and a block of cold obsidian. These items bear the signs of the Dark Lord's craft. Something is very wrong here. You drop the pack as quickly as if it were red hot and turn to your mount your horse. To your dismay, you find it is no longer there. The Sarls must have stolen it. Wearily, you realize you will now have to continue your journey on foot. 138. I'd like to take that spear, maybe? Or do we just leave him stuck there? Cut his head off? I mean, he's a Dark Lord agent. But... No. Well, there we go. You have been walking for nearly 2 hours when you reach the peak of a hill and see the Duranor forest stretched out before you. The road bears eastwards and enters the trees at a point where a large wooden tower has been built. You can see the silhouette of a soldier on guard. Interesting. So let's have a look at our map. We have arrived at a forest with a wooden tower. Okay, great. Wonderful. Excellent. And so we can go towards the watchtower on 232, or we can make a wide detour to the south on 244. 244. So go towards the tower on the road, 232, or detour on 244. 244. Let's see what we're going to decide on there. And, well, the guards may be able to tell me how long it's going to take me to get to Fort Bax. I could warn them that there's a Helghast roaming around with a spear in his chest and that I didn't do anything about it. Or I could just go into the forest and avoid the whole thing. What if they are spies for the Dark Lord? Oh, well, that's another one. Maybe we should just trust in the fact that they're going to be good and nice and loyal. Maybe. Possibly. We are needing a few more votes. If you haven't voted yet, folks, please do so now. I mean, we could just pretend that we're peasants, right? Maybe? I don't know. Right, we've reached our point. Yeah, we shouldn't try and climb any towers. We are going to 232. 232. We're going to go up to this tower. 232. You are less than 20 yards from the tower when the guard steps forward and demands to know your business. You notice that the soldier is wearing the red coat of a Duranese man-at-arms and realize that you have reached the border of Duranor. You need to find some way of getting past him. If you wish to decide to say that you are a merchant on your way to Port Bax, go to 250. If you decide to offer him a bribe, go to 68. If you want to show him the seal of Hammerdal, and that's if you still have it, which we do, go to 2323. But if we have the Kai discipline of 6th sense, turn to 149. So we will go to 149 because we do have the power of 6th sense. 149. What's happened here? Have they been overrun by Helghasts or Giaks or... You can sense that this guard is a loyal Duranese soldier. If you were to attempt to bribe him, he would be likely to consider it a grave insult and to attack you. If you wish to show him the seal of Hammerdal, turn to 223. If you wish to pretend to be a merchant, turn to 250. I mean, we have the seal, right? Do we really need the deception? 223 says we show him the seal of Hammerdal. 250 says that we pretend to be a merchant. I think it's got to be seal, right? We have the seal. This was the whole point of getting the seal, was showing the seal to people that needed to see the seal. But maybe it is... The Dark Lords seem to have been ahead of us every step of the way. I mean, it's probably obvious that we're going to go and try and fetch the one weapon that destroyed them the last time round, so they'd probably have the area pretty well posted. In which case our deception is nothing, because they know that we're coming, so then why would we try and deceive those that already know that we're coming? Right? Right. Well, the poll says there's no point in deceiving anyone. 223. The guard stares at the magnificent ring in awe. The legend of the Seal of Hamadal is well known to the people of Duranor. It is said that of all the lost treasures of the Duranese, the Seal of Hamadal is one that they would not wish returned. The guard's anxious face shows he clearly recognizes the ring's dreadful significance. I will not hinder your urgent mission, but I cannot help you except to set you on the road for Port Bax. Continue on this forest path, and you will come to a fork near a stunted oak tree. A fork, mind you. Take the left track. It's the quickest way. You thank the loyal guard and push on once more into the forest. A mile or so along the road, you come to the fork and take the left track. It leads to a stone bridge across the Rimer Rift. The Rimer Rift is a river. The waters of the Rimer Rift are over 1 mile deep and up to 2 miles. Over 1 mile deep and up to 2 miles at its widest point. Near to the bridge, you find a signpost which says Port Bax 3 miles. So the map is not to scale, because we've just come across that river there. Oh, which is not the Rimer Rift. That river is something else. Oh, so then maybe it is to scale. I take it back. Bad me. Right. You breathe a sigh of relief, for you should arrive there in under an hour. 265. At dusk on the 10th day of your quest, you experience your first sight of the magnificent city of Port Bax. Like a diamond set in the green velvet shore, the towers of the city glimmer in the pale light of a waxing moon. To the north is the harbour and the formidable war fleet of the Duranese navy. To the east, beyond the moss-covered city wall, stretches the forest of Duranor. And there, on the crest of a hill, stands a castle tall and proud, the crowning glory of this beautiful port. You enter Port Bax through an unguarded gate in the green city wall and make your way through the darkening streets towards the harbour. As you turn into a tree-lined avenue, you notice the wide stone steps of a domed building to your right. You stop to read the brass plaque. City Hall. Despite the late hour, the main doors are open. If you wish to enter City Hall, turn to 84. Well, we don't really have any need. We were supposed to meet someone here. In the harbour, I think. So the City Hall is 84. Oh, sorry, I should have kept reading. We have the Kai discipline of tracking, so we go to 252. My apologies, 252. It was on the other page. That's my excuse. You try to remember some of the stories told to you by an old Kai master called Wise Hawk. He was envoy to Port Bax for many years, and he knew and loved the city as well as any native Duranese. You recall him saying that the consulate overlooked Allen's Square in the naval quadrant of the city. There is a sign to your left pointing along the avenue. Naval quadrant, half a mile. Certain that this is the right direction, you walk confidently along the tree-lined avenue. At the end of the avenue, the cobbled street turns abruptly to the right. Opposite to this is a tall, white stone building with a plaque above the door. Port Watchtower, Harbour Authority. You can see that the cobbled street ends at a high stone wall. There is a large red gate in this wall, and it is guarded by 2 soldiers. Beyond the gate, you can make out the masts of ships moored in the harbour. If you wish to enter the Port Watchtower, turn to 318, If you wish to approach the red gate, turn to 246. Well, I mean, surely we go to the tower and tell them that we're here and that we're here to meet someone in the harbor, and then we go to the red door. It looks pretty serious. Yeah, I think the watchtower, 318. But maybe we should just go directly to the red gate, 246. I don't know anymore. We thought that the tower over the river was going to be problematic, and that turned out to be very useful. So, I don't know. Alan Robinson, you get 500 experience points for being amazing and also for that comment. So, voting-wise, we still need a couple votes to come in. 41 people watching, so we're on 17 votes. I need another 3 votes, please, if you can. I know if you are just listening to the show, that's certainly fine. If you can't vote because of technical issues, that's fine as well. If you're watching on your phone, I don't know how the polls come up on phones and things. But yes, the Watchtower or the Red Gate. The Watchtower or the Red Gate. We have got consensus. 318, we are going to the Watchtower. Bureaucracy, bureaucracy, bureaucracy. And if we get waylaid by drunk sailors or I don't know what, I am going to just cry. I know I'm a Kai master, but I'm going to cry. You find yourself standing in a large empty hall. Opposite are 2 doors, each with a brass sign above them. If you wish to enter the door marked white passes, turn to 75. If you wish to enter the door marked red passes, turn to 62, or we could just leave. I'm not going to put this up to a vote, folks, unless you really want a metagame and go to 75. Why would we go to the white passes when we need a red pass for the red door, surely? That makes the most sense, doesn't it? So I think that's what we should do. I'm not going to poll it because we've just done a poll already. 62. And you can label me as a cheater later. 62. If it doesn't work out, we just go back to the right, we say beg your pardon and off we go. 62. You enter a large room full of ledgers and files. A man wearing the uniform of a Duranese naval officer is seated opposite at a large desk. He peers at you inquisitively from behind a huge book and says, "You must have pressing business in the naval quadrant to apply for a red pass at this late hour. I shall need to see your access papers and proof of your commanding officer's authorization." If you have collected the necessary documents on your quest, turn to there. We do not. If you do not have the documents he requires or do not wish to show them to him, you will have to risk showing him the seal of Hamadal. Well, that's what we're going to do, 263, because we've used it before and it worked fine. That wasn't much of a risk. When did it become a risk? The man stares at the seal with a look of shocked dismay. Without saying a word, he gets up from his chair and beckons you to follow him up a flight of spiral stairs that lead to a domed chamber. Here you meet the captain of the port watch. He listens intently as you tell him of the war in Sumerland and of your urgent mission. "Issued a red pass immediately," he orders. "Top priority." You collect your pass, leave the port watchtower, and hurry along the street towards the harbour guards. 246. I don't see why we should be reluctant showing the seal. We've already worked out that they know that we're here. One of the guards steps forward and demands to see your pass. 202. The soldier salutes and allows you to pass through the red gate. You walk into an open square lit by the tall beacons lining the quayside. To your relief, you sight the marble pillars of the Sumerland consulate and the familiar sun flag of your country flying above it in the fresh night breeze. Ah, home, home, home. As you climb the stone steps, you are recognized by the Sumerlanding guards on duty at the main door. They disappear inside and quickly return in the company of a tall, grey-haired official. His anguished expression suddenly changes to a smile of joy as he beholds your ragged Kai cloak and tunic. Hope beyond hope! Thank the gods that you are alive, Kai Lord. The scant news that has reached us from the west has caused us great alarm. You are ushered inside and taken immediately to the envoy of Sumerland, Lord Lieutenant Rygar. 31. Your first meeting with the Lord Lieutenant comes as something of a shock. You had perhaps half expected him to be a servile old man, as are the envoys of the southern lands that plague your king's court with their delegations. The man, clad in heavy chainmail, standing before you, is neither old nor servile. You are soon to learn that Lord Lieutenant Rygar is an exceptional man. Born of a Sumerlanding father and a Duranese mother, he has become something of a legend in this city. In the last decade, he has led an alliance of the nations to victory against the invading ice barbarians of Kulta. Wise in peace, fierce in war, you could not have wished for better company on your quest for the Sumersword. Rygar orders that a sumptuous meal be served. It is by far the best food you have tasted since the war began. During the feast, you recall the events that have brought you to Port Bax, and reflect on the daunting challenge that still lies before you. After the meal, Rygar sends for his physician, who attends to your wounds. His potions restore 6 endurance points. Then he advises you to sleep, for you are on the leave with the Lord Lieutenant of Hammerdal. Let me try that sentence again. Then he advises you to sleep, for you are to leave with the Lord Lieutenant for Hammerdal in the morning. Early next day, you are taken to an enclosed garden at the rear of the consulate, where Rygar and 3 of his best soldiers await you on horseback. They are to be your bodyguard and guides on the 230-mile ride to Hammerdal. The streets of Port Bax are just beginning to come to life as you ride through the town. Passing under the moss-covered city gate, you now feel confident that your mission will succeed. Pick a random number from the random number table. 7. 254. 254. For 3 days and nights you have followed the highway to the capital as it runs parallel to the river Duranon. The river valley is a wide belt of rich cultivated land that climbs towards the Hammerdal Mountains, one of the highest ranges in all of Magnamund. It is on the morning of the 14th day of your quest when 6 cloaked men appear at the edge of your camp. Lord Lieutenant Rygar is the first to draw his sword. With a voice of authority, he demands an explanation for their intrusion. In reply, they unsheathe black swords. Rygar shouts to his men to prepare for combat as the cloaked strangers advance towards you. If you have the Kai discipline of Sixth Sense, turn to 344. Your Kai sense reveals to you that the strangers are Helghast, fell captains of the Dark Lords. They have been sent from the dark city of Helgadad on a mission of assassination. They have the ability to take on the appearance of humans, and they are immune to normal weapons and mind blast. You turn to shout a warning to Rygar as you run for the safety of the forest. Watch out! They can't be damaged by normal weapons or any abilities that you might have. So long, Toodlepip, farewell, bye-bye. I'm going to be in the forest waiting for you if you survive. You're not a decoy. So long, farewell, adieu to you and you-hoo. The forest drops away steeply at the edge of your campsite, and in your haste you trip, and fall headlong through the trees. Random number 5311. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. I have a bad feeling about this. 183, folks. 183. You come to rest face downwards in a tangle of thick bracken. The ringing of steel and the horrible cries of the Helghast echo through the trees around you. You are stunned and cannot move until a hand grabs your arm and pulls you upright. It is Rygar. His face is bloodied and his armor is battered and charred. "We must flee these demons, Lone Wolf. Strength and steel will not avail us here." You glimpse the silhouette of 6 Helghast on the road above. Their minds bent on the slaughter of Rygar's men, they fail to see you both slip away under cover of the wooded hillside. "Ha ha! Well, so glad you made it out. I wasn't running away from you, leaving you to die. Interesting forest." For 6 hours you run without rest. The Helghast are on the highway, and you are forced to make your way through the steep and wooded foothills to avoid risk of capture. Many times you feel that you just cannot go on, that the pain and the fatigue are too much to bear. But each time you falter, you are spurred on by Rygar. You marvel at his endurance, for he is not a young man, and he is clothed in the heavy armor of a Sumalunding knight. By nightfall, you have reached the entrance to Tarnalin, the western tunnel through the Hammerdal Mountains. The 3 tunnels of Duranor were excavated during the Age of the Black Moon, and each tunnel is over 40 miles long and passes through the huge circle of the Humerdal Range to the capital. The tunnels provide the only access to the city. Rygar sits back beside you and takes some bread and meat from his pack. "Eat this, Lone Wolf. You must sustain your strength for the journey to Hammerdal, for from here you must venture alone through the Tarnalin. I shall remain here and hold the enemy back for as long as I have the strength to fight. Do not argue. That your mission should succeed is the only thing that matters." If Rygar is to hold off the Helghast, he will need a magic weapon, as his own sword is of no use against the creatures. If you wish to give him your magic spear so that he can defend the tunnel entrance, turn to 118. If you do not possess a magic spear, or do not wish to give it to him, turn to 102. "Well, look, I'm terribly sorry, old chap, but we don't have a spear at all. I've got a dagger, but it wouldn't do very much against a Helghast." 102. Thank goodness we didn't have to fight a Helghast. We would have died instantaneously. 102. Tarnalin is a wonder to behold. Over 100 feet in height and width, the tunnel runs to the capital on the far side of the Hammerdal Range. Usually it is alive with the traffic of wagons and people to and from Port Bax. But as you enter, you find it deserted except for an overturned fruit cart. The road that disappears into the torchlit tunnel is empty and quiet. As you walk along the paved road, you get an uneasy feeling that perhaps the Helghast have arrived at Tarnalin before you. You have been walking for nearly an hour when the tunnel splits in 2. If you have the Kai discipline of tracking, turn to 325. We do indeed. 325. 325. You sense that the left tunnel is the quickest route to Hammerdal by about 2 miles. Just before you reach the junction, you come across a large puddle in the center of the highway. You notice that 2 sets of footprints, about the size and shape of a man's boot, trail away from the water and lead off in both tunnels. The prints are still wet, and you judge that they were made within the last 20 minutes. Oh dear. All right. If you wish to enter the left tunnel, turn to 62. If you wish to enter the right tunnel, turn to 164. So 64 is to the left, 164 is to the right. What to do? What to do? You notice that 2 sets of footprints, about the size and shape of a man's boot, trail away from the water and lead off into both tunnels. So both tunnels have got someone. Both tunnels have got someone in them. Helghast, most likely. I mean, maybe? Left, right, flip a coin? What do we do? Chat's divided. 50-50 so far. Keep swinging backwards and forwards. We're split now. No. Now, back to being split. 16 votes. We need 23 to get this vote carried. So if you are going to vote, now's the time to vote. Just roll a die. Absolutely. Left or right. Stick me finger in my eye and just go whichever way I can see. Right? Perhaps. I don't know. We've got the votes in. Votes in say 64. Somehow you chose. Off we go to the left. Hurrah! 64. Ahead, you can see a passenger wagon similar to design to those that use the roads that run to Ragadan. The horses have been cut free, and it appears to be deserted. You notice the bodies of 3 soldiers lying beneath it. Their uniforms are heavily bloodstained. We have the Kai discipline of Sixth Sense, so what are our spider senses telling us? Danger? Oh, absolutely. Your sense warns you that the wagon contains an evil presence. If you wish to enter the wagon, turn to 134. Oh dear, this passage starts to bring back memories. Very, very sad memories. I think it's just those 2 options. Oh no, there's a 3rd option. Maybe that's why I always used to die, because I never used to look over the page. All right, folks, this is our option. Enter the wagon, which contains an evil presence that we can't do anything about because it's immune to all of our abilities and our attacks. Try and dash past the wagon and run for safety. We're pretty good at running. We've been doing a lot of running. This is true. Go to 208. So 134 is to enter the wagon. 208 is to dash past. Or 164 is to instead return and take the right-hand tunnel. Let's see what you say. So far, split. 2 votes so far. Okay, that's looking a bit better. 164 is we return and take the right-hand tunnel. 208, we try and dash past it, which so far you seem to be edging towards. Or 134, we enter the wagon. That, I think, is just crazy. I think that's crazy. We know there is evil in there. So, one more vote, and I will close it. I'm closing it. We've got that vote in. We are going the cautious way back the other way. You have walked for nearly a mile along this deserted tunnel when you see a flight of steps cut into the rock face to your left. They lead to a platform which runs the length of the tunnel ceiling. It is used to service the torches. We have Kai's Sixth Sense, so we turn to 172. Your Kai sense warns you that there is something evil hiding in the darkness of the platform. Well. I think my mother is starting to sing in the background. I think that is what I'm hearing. 52. We climb the stone steps and confront whatever is up there. 256. We try and run past it. There is an option of going and taking the left path, but we know what happens there. We end up at the carriage situation, which is still a dash. So are we going to face our death standing? Or are we going to try and hoof it and run past? The choice is yours. Choice is yours. I mean, what if it's not a Helghast? What if it's just a Giak or a Saul? Or maybe it's a tax collector or a lawyer or an accountant, you know, one of those evil people. Now, I say that in jest, of course. We are very good at running. This is true. So maybe we should just run. We've got our votes we're just going to try and run it. 256. You pass the stone steps and continue along the highway. You have just passed under the platform when you hear a noise above you. You stop and stare upwards, but you can see nothing in the gloom of the tunnel ceiling. Why? Why would we stop? Just run, you idiot. 134. This is not looking good, folks. I'm getting a sense. Suddenly, from out of the darkness, there is a blood-chilling cry. You find yourself staring into the glowing eyes of a Helghast. As it tries to close its fingers around your throat, you scream in terror and fall to the ground. The hideous creature tears at your tunic, rending the cloth with its black claws. There is a picture of it as well. If you have a mysterious magic spear, turn to 38. If you do not, turn to 304. 304. It may be of some consolation to learn that your death was mercifully swift. The Helghast's fingers tore and burnt their way through your throat within a few seconds. But now the seal of Hamadal is on its way to the Dark Lord's city of Helgadad. Your life and your quest come to a tragic end here. Well, we died. Surprise. I think that the magic spear is definitely what we need to get. It was frustrating that we couldn't pull it out of the body. So, if I remember correctly, the option that we had... Here we go. All right. That's one of the visions that impacts our head. Whoa, I've just seen the future and I die. Like badly. Man, that's crazy. I'm also Californian. I don't know why. So, we just loop back in time to when we are in that forest glade. There is the man with the spear stuck through him, the white knight lying next to him, and the Thals are pestering and jumping up and down. We're going to attack the Thals. The cowardly Thals squeal in terror and run in all directions to avoid your blows. They have soon fled from the clearing, and you turn to help the dying man. He is barely alive and far too weak to talk. If you wish carefully to remove the spear from his chest, turn to 106, or if you would rather search his pack, turn to 320. Well, we know exactly what happens when we turn to 320. That does not work. That takes us away from the camp and etc., etc., etc. So instead we're going to go to 106. We are going to remove that spear, contrary to what all of the logic seems to indicate. The carved spear is made of metal, yet it feels as light as if it were made of wood. You notice the shaft is covered in runes and magic emblems. As you carefully pull it from the man's chest, he gives you a long sigh of relief. You are about to examine his wound when you feel a searing pain shoot through your head. It is so strong and painful that you collapse to the ground. You lose 2 endurance points. You are amazed to see the man jump to his feet, and then horrified to see the dreadful change that comes over him. The skin of his face appears to writhe and change color, growing darker and shrinking as it decays on his skull. His eyes burn with a bright red glow, and long fangs protrude from his bottom jaw. You choke with fear as you realize it is a Helghast, a nightmarish agent of the Dark Lords, exactly like the one that just killed you in your premonition of going down the wrong tunnel. If you do not have the Kai discipline of Mind Shield, haha, we do, you would lose 2 endurance points every round of combat that you fight this creature. Normal weapons cannot harm it, and it is immune to Mind Blast. You can only wound it in combat with the magical spear, which we now have. Holy moly, folks, this is going to be tough. The Helghast's combat skill is 22, and it has 30 endurance points. Our combat skill is a grand total of 19. Not great. 17. Because of combat skill, we're not able to use Mind Blast. So our combat ratio is -5. You cannot evade this creature, and you must fight it to the death. Here we go. First round. Huzzah! I like that. The enemy loses 7, putting him on 23. We lose 2, putting us on 18, on a roll of an 8. Next attack. 4 each. We're on 14. It's on 19. Next attack. Ha! Ha! Another 8 in our favor. So we lose 2, putting us on 12. They lose 7, putting them on 12. Next round. Ah! Ooh, they lose 2. We lose 5, putting us on 7. Stab at them. They lose 5. We lose 4. This is it. We die. We died. We are dead. We are dead because the enemy loses 0 and we lose 6. So yeah, we're dead again. Do you see why I have never beaten this book? The only way to get past the Tunnel of Hammerdal is to have this spear. The only way to get the spear is to defeat a creature that has a combat rating of 22 and 30 endurance points. At best, folks, we can only have a 19 combat skill. At best, we could have 29 hit points. If we had 29 endurance points, we would be alive. We would be alive. So, I mean, we could just roll this whole thing. Yeah. So, we've run out of time for today. The only way to have won this is to go back and roll these numbers again. But bear in mind, if I look at this number, if we roll a 5, so anything below 5, we're losing more endurance points than that creature is losing. Anything above 5, we are gaining very, very slowly, but slowly. So think about this. Next week, we're going to try one last time, I think. It's up to you. I don't want to be this frustrating person. So, yes, we carry on from this point, and we will run the combat again until we basically live. Or no, we move on, and we try the new series, which is Star Trek solo role-playing. So you guys decide. Yes, we carry on. We don't surrender. Or no, we say, we can't get past book 2. 'Tis not possible, I say. We must earn Trek, says Dixon Cider. Book abuse. Yes, it dropped. I didn't mean to drop it. I didn't mean it. It's not my fault. It just dropped, okay? Gravity did it. Let's have a look at the votes. I need 2 more votes. You're telling the head librarian. Oh, my goodness. All right. 106. Right, the votes are in, and it's pretty damn clear. We are going to try yet again to defeat the Helghast. So 106. Where's my pen? 106. Right. I always had an issue with this 106. The fact that you had to defeat the Helghast to get through the tunnel. There was just no other way. I think they've changed that in the reprinting of the book. Anyway, folks, thank you for joining me. Have a great Tuesday evening, afternoon, day, wherever you happen to be. And until next week, I wish you and yours the happiest of gaming.